Welcome back, and welcome back, Chiefs, Rusty, because they've had a rocky road the last couple of weeks, but that game did not look in doubt for them at all.
Yeah, that was an absolute statement from them, right? Very small amount of hiccups made here and there, and it really was just the croc show, you know? Like that was the type of game where it's a small detail that makes a significant difference, and that's a sign of a great jungler or a great team, or maybe both all at once, right? It's a W start from Syndra, and literally the game, it felt like it's just cascaded from that moment. And to me, that's just a really class move that should be commended from the Chiefs. And, you know, that's the form that we expect from them more consistently than perhaps we've been getting.
Spawn, we've been talking up PGG the last couple of weeks. Is this a bit of a culture shock for them? Is this something that they're going to need to go away and reconsider some things, or is it just a bump in the road from a better team?
I think that's just I think it was a risky draft. Like, let's call it what it is. We haven't seen the Urgot, we haven't seen the Kha'Zix, so the fact that they come together in one draft didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I kind of called it in the Champion Select as well, that was an area that I was very worried about, just because Kha'Zix clears so slow, man. I'm a big Kha'Zix player myself, and he's not in a great spot at the moment, in my opinion. I understand why he's successful in solo queue when a lot of mistakes happen, but I feel like you do need your opponents to make those mistakes. And in saying that, on Pentanet.gg, I've always been a little bit of a skeptic, because this organization, from what it was the Bombers last year, you know, with Western Way and Rogue, they do seem to have these great spurts where they look like they're the best team in the league, but their lows are really, really low. And it's always been, for me, not a matter of if, but like when they go through that low and can they get out the other side. And I just hope that this isn't the start of like that crashing down, because I think they already lost 4 in a row earlier on in the season. Yeah. For them, if they went on another skid now, you'd hate to say, but you know, that's nearly 5th locked in if they lose a couple more in a row at this stage.
All right, well, fingers crossed that PGG can find their way back after this one. If you need to find your way through some sort of medium where you only can hear and you can't use your eyes in some weird scenario where that happens, well, do we have a sponsor for you? It's EPOS. They want to give you a GSP. Yeah, that's how I got there. They want to give you a GSP 600 gaming headset. This competition is closing this weekend. Today is your last opportunity to join. All you need to do is head to the @OPL Twitter page and reply to the tweet there promoting this comp with your most out-of-this-world gaming experience, the experience you've had in video games that is the most memorable, the most defining for you. We're going to pick our 2 favorite stories on broadcast tomorrow, and we will announce those winners live on the OPL, and 2 winners will get a GSP 600 headset thanks to EPOS, which is a very generous gift from a very generous sponsor. So thank you very much, EPOS, for jumping on board for that one. And a quick reminder before we move on that today is actually International Self-Care Day. It's Friday the 24th of July. And to celebrate and promote that, Headspace has created an AR Instagram filter called Self-Care. Visit @headspace_AUS on Instagram to check it out, and make sure to tag Headspace in your stories. Obviously, self-care is now more important than ever. And so do what you can to look after yourself today and every day. And a great way, I think, to look after yourself would be to take in some Zen, to enjoy the blossoming of nature, and to engage in the purchasing of a brand new skin line. League of Legends have put out the Spirit Blossom event, and they have also released a very beautiful trailer to go along with that. So let's check that one out now.
Forget everything.
Let me show you what life cannot. Blessed are those who need my guidance.
I release them from their pain.
There is only death, mine or yours. If you've come to kill me, I hope you brought friends.
Yield. Or fall to my blades.
Who dat, Rusty?
Ooh, is it a new champion?
It could be. I don't know. I don't think anyone on the internet has said anything about it. So there's no way that we could possibly find out. Very beautiful new event happening, and is significant because it's a massive cross title event as well, running across League of Legends, TFT, and Legends of Runeterra. Skimmy, a highlight for you with the Spirit Blossom event?
Nexus Blitz, I love it. It reminds me of another game I used to play a whole bunch. Fast, quick, it's in there. There's more modes. There's not just one map. There's more things to do, and I find that quite exciting. I like variation, Nick. I don't know about you, but I like a little bit of variation in my game. Something to keep things a little bit spicy. There you have it.
I am super excited about Blitz. I am those alt modes. That's where I can shine because everyone is still figuring it out. So I feel like I can jump in there and actually achieve something. Rusty, I know Spawn's opinion on this, but how are you feeling about Blitz?
I'm feeling very good about Nexus Blitz. I played, I'm not going to tell you how many games I played yesterday. I played a lot of video games yesterday. You just get caught up in it because they're so quick and they're fun. And it's like learning a new thing all over again. And who doesn't enjoy that?
Spawn, who doesn't enjoy that?
Me. I stick to just normal Summoner's Rift. I like me some TFT at the moment, so if it's a crossover into TFT as well, I'll be a big fan. All I can say though is when people say, do you actually get paid to commentate on games? I always used to say yes, but I've realized in maybe the last month since Valorant came out and since all these skins came out in League of Legends, I should just say I get a nicer esports and video game portfolio than everyone else as I now pump money back into this game. Because I have spent so much on the new skin lines, and there is like 6 of them there that I saw that I'm going to buy as well. I've got a problem.
He needs help.
No one's going to deny that. I am super excited about jumping into Nexus Blitz. We would have been playing it tonight, but the MPL is going to be replaced this evening with the Valorant Ignition series that Order are running, and we're going to be watching that instead. So that's obviously great for them, terrible for you if you wanted to watch Nexus Blitz content, but there's plenty of time to get to that. I'm hoping that they do, and I haven't even played it yet, but from everything that I've seen, and I'm excited to jump into it. I do hope that they make it a permanent thing. I feel like they will. They must. There's been so much outcry saying to keep it.
Question, do people actually play OPL bingo? Because Angie Foxtrot
here we go.
has just said, checks the Spawn doesn't like something box on the bingo card. And I will have you know that I am, amongst all the weeds, a flower of positivity on this broadcast. How dare you, sir/madame? How dare you?
You can't just say that. You have to prove it. Actions speak louder than words.
Wait, what other options are there on this bingo card? I'd be so curious to
I
hear.
think half of them are Spawn doesn't like X thing, which is what she's going for there.
I mean, I think half of them
salty,
are
Spawn.
I'd love somebody to make this as a meme
Spawn.
and post it.
It's Spawn. Spawn doesn't like something. Spawn says, yeah, absolutely. Spawn wears a furry collared jacket. Spawn eats chips despite the fact that he says that he hates them. I mean, it's mainly just
the dark
it's
side,
Jake
chat.
Bingo.
Come to the dark side.
But we should play OPL Bingo. We should figure that out.
I'd like that.
Feels like something that we could that feels on brand for the OPL. Okay, it is time to move on and get ready for the next game. Game number 2, AV versus Mammoth. My boys, Mammoth, obviously continuing their success, continuing the growth, climbing the ladder. Rusty, AV. Not having the greatest of splits. Can Mammoth take them down? The answer is yes, but I want your opinion.
Well, the answer is yes. I have a hard time pinning AV down. There's been times in this split, particularly at the very start, I will say, where you find yourself very high on the potential of AV, and it seems like they always underdeliver more often than not. And that's annoying, right? Like, not just as a viewer, it'd be even more annoying to be AV, because you can see what they are capable of at moments, and you get glimmers of that, but they just haven't found the secret to consistently find those wins, and even with Chaz playing, honestly, pretty well, they're still losing.
Completely
What is
agree.
Oh, yeah, Spawn, I was going to say, what is the thing that's missing from Mammoth at the moment?
Consistency breeds consistency, Nick. So when you play with the same 5 players, you learn about what you do and how people respond to stuff, and then you start learning and building. And for some reason, they just keep changing their AD carry, and there doesn't seem to be any particular rhyme or reason or champion pool or anything. They'll come in, they'll both play the exact same champion in a completely different way. And I feel sorry for Appy, because, like, this dude is playing with is it Violet? Is it Gunkrab? Like, at this stage, I just don't know. He played top lane at the end of last split as well. So I feel like, they really have missed a trick somewhere there. And Mammoth, in very similar fashion, have this week said, you know what? Let's just change it all as well. Let's bring in a new mid laner.
Yeah, this is a bit of a new look Mammoth here as well. I mean, the consistency breeds consistency, but for something like Mammoth, I guess any stage time for any of these players is a good thing as they work their way through. So let's go around the horn. Who are we predicting is going to take this one out, starting with Spawn?
I think Avant should win it.
Skimmy?
I actually really like Mammoth. I saw GDX play for Mammoth Academy in OCS. He played Rumble. He turbo smurfed. I think this guy's got big shoes to fill. I think he's got good potential. I'd love to see him pop off on the big stage.
Turbo smurf.
He's no Chungy, though, so I'll go with AV.
All right. Call me crazy, guys, but I think Mammoth can do it this time. Let's jump into game number 2. It's AV versus Mammoth, and it's coming up after this short break and the Macus Champ Select.
Avant's a pretty good team. I think they have a few weaknesses though, so I do think we'll be able to exploit them in this upcoming week.
So tonight we play off against AV. Tonight we get to unleash our secret weapon, the god from overseas, our boy GDX. Hopefully he can, put some fear in them and maybe we can come away with a victory tonight. It's going to be a pretty important game for us to win. I just put faith in my boys and, we're the gods and they're the noobs, so hopefully we can take away this victory.
So going up against AV this weekend, it's a must-win game for us if we want to go to playoffs. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And here we go for game number 2 of the day. Avant Gaming taking on Mammoth. Both teams really fighting to try and get themselves in with what you'd have to imagine at this stage, Spawn, is that final playoff spot.
Yeah, that's what you would be thinking at this stage if a team does drop out. Because remember, it is going to be a very difficult race to get in there. Top 6 going across. And actually, Avant, I mean, they are 5-9, so, they could drop out, actually. That's actually unfair of me. Mammoth aren't actually that far behind them. I was having a look at it, and for some reason I thought Avant had 6 or 7 wins, Skimmy, but then you look and they only have 5. That's a lonely 5 next to their name at the moment.
It's
so
much like the Chiefs Pencenet situation where there's one game in the balance.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we'll see exactly how that goes, Skimmy. Obviously the new OPL format with the weird double elimination and first versus second going on in there. So we'll see exactly what happens in this gauntlet run.
As hyped as I am for GDX to come in here, I feel a little bit sorry for Chungy because the guy's been in such impressive form as of recent. Those 2 standout performances, most notably on the Ahri. I wonder if it's a matter of just champion pool utilization for what they're going to be going into here today.
It is only top 5 teams that make it. I was right at the start when I started my point. So they're going to have to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
Both of these teams have to win a lot of games, Skimmy. You know what? Scrap everything I just said, chat. No Flame Marino Cappuccino, please. I mean, what are they behind? If that's the case, if you have to be 5th, goodness gracious me, they have to double their wins and hope that Chiefs don't win another one. That's not going to happen, I don't think. So, very difficult run for both of these teams.
Yeah, very big one. And we'll get to see exactly what they're trying to do here today. We'll get to see actually what GDX's champion pool is like. Bear in mind, what Chungy had been playing was like sort of Ahri's, Yasuo's, Morgana's, Lucian's. A little bit out of the meta, a little bit different. So I wonder if that has to be the major factor here as to why they brought him in to sort of showcase that they can do a little bit more, a little bit different to really add into the things. We can sort of see from some of those bans, respect has been shown. The Heimerdinger that Emma Bohm has used to good effect. That actually got them a win over the Chiefs. We're going to see the Karma denied away as well, where some of these teams like to really go for these double support setups to really empower. And Lived, I think he's really as strong as he can be since making this role swap when he's on the likes of a Wukong or a Nico. Somebody that has AoE capabilities, but somebody that can be an initiator.
Yeah, and I think that Lived he needs a champion that can do both, Skimmy. He needs the primary initiator, and he also needs strong laning phase. And we've seen him default to mages when he hasn't been able to get those things rolling, right? He's gone with something like a Nico a couple of times around. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that come out in this particular draft. There's not all that much magic damage so far on the Mammoth lineup. As for GDX, I believe he goes by PI9 in our solo queue. So he plays a lot of strange things. Big Nocturne player, big Rumble player. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 5th pick here. And maybe a blind pick coming out for Liv, because both of his counter picks have been banned away.
Yeah, both of his strengths have been denied with the Wukong and the Nico, but the respect has also been shown to arguably Avant's best player, the split in Chaz, by taking away his LeBlanc as well as his Talia. There is the Rumble. I saw it to good effect in the OCS earlier last week, and he had basically perma prio, was always roaming, was always very active on the map with his jungler, and forced situations where they're able to get ahead very early on. So high hopes to see what he can do here in his debut.
Yeah, and I mean, Rumble is one of those champions that kind of was brought into the mid lane meta by an LPL player called Doinby, who's of course Korean but has always played in China, Skimmy. And you'll see Doinby just absolutely destroy his minion wave and then just go camp side lanes with this pick. And he even does things like, picks up a Predator or something like that to be able to make it a little bit more possible. So I think that when we have a look at this, that's what I would expect out of GDX. In saying that, Orianna is a fairly good matchup into Rumble, especially after the tier shop, when you can match some of that mana. And this is something that is interesting, because this is an LCK pickup. And we have one of the better Kennen players in the OPL from a top lane perspective in Swiper on my team. But we can't figure out why Kennen is being blinded. Because it's got good team fighting, it's got pretty good laning phase, but it certainly does have some hard counters, Skimmy. So I would be expecting Liv to bring out a gap-closing fighter or Jace to be able to go toe-to-toe. I mean, make it a Sylas. This is definitely a Sylas favored matchup.
It certainly is. It's going to be a battle of who can use the Slicing Maelstrom to better effect. As for Avant Gaming, it is all about the Wombo combo. You know when they press those R buttons, somebody is going to fall on down between the Maelstrom, between the Shockwave. If that wasn't enough, you've got the Stormbringer for the Volibear to jump on in and guarantee that you need to burn a Summoner to try and survive.
Okay, so first things first, Skimmy. Artek needs to swap Summoners first. He needs to take Exhaust. You cannot play against Shockwave and Slicing Maelstrom and not have an Exhaust on your lineup. That is just utter suicide. Because if either of them get a big ultimate and you do not have that ability to cut the damage by like 40%, it's so hard to play against. But it looks like they're not going to do it. And this means that you have to mark the Kennen at all stages in teamfights. And what I mean by mark is you have to allocate either a Sylas or a Trundle to stand between the primary body of the comp and the Kennen and stop him from coming in, like, at all. Because if he does get in, he will kill someone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified to sort of see what his response is as to can we try and achieve ourselves a very strong laning phase, but then if we go into our team fights, we start to fall behind as a result. Obviously, we know how Ezreal has come to life ever since Aphelios has been targeted to look to try and find those advantages in trading from afar and try to be ahead of the clock. Doesn't matter how far ahead you are, though, as an Ezreal. If the team fights are stacked against you, you don't have the correct responses to it, like the cleanses, like the exhausts. You are going to be a little bit terrified as to how you can try and bridge that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you have a look at the laning phase coming out right now, it will have to be a lot of mid-game focus to make sure that you're not falling too far behind. I am also very interested to who gets first Drake here, Skimmy. Because if you are playing, these lane bullies like a Kennen, then you do really need him to be able to get mobile on Summoner's Rift, maybe keep himself a teleport advantage, maybe be able to walk down that river to be able to start stacking these objectives. We saw what it did for Chiefs last game. We'll see whether either of these teams can kind of replicate that this time around.
That we will find out here as we get ready for our second game of Week 8 in the OPL with Avant on the left side, rocking the blue with Mammoth Academy. showcasing that GDX has made the big step up to the main roster of Mammoth in the OPL. We're going to get to see what he can do. It's on the Rumble. He's got a similar composition as was used in the OCS with the likes of Initiation to back him on up. But into the wombo combo that Avant are throwing his way, will that be enough to slow things down when they look to contest objectives?
And neither of these teams have a big tank, Skimmy. So, you know, you talk about these wombo combos and these high damage compositions. Well, Appy is going to be a poor support tank, and I talk about this all the time, but Nautilus without items is like the squishiest tank in the league. Obviously, Lisa he's a volley bear, so he's a bruiser, not a tank. And then at the same time, I mean, Bass is probably the one pure tank on Summoner's Rift. So we'll see exactly how these team fights go. I think Bass is actually going to be crucial. He needs to be either grab the Aftershock off Appy or be able to take away all of Lisa's stats and then really be able to keep Paparize out of the fight.
Vision's going to be a key word here for achieving situations where you can maybe force fights and not have to fall victim to the full 5v5 flip. We talk about it happening when it's Smite contests. But Vision control to start off objectives, to find fights, to find skirmishes that are desirable with numbers advantages, and capitalizing the fact of summoners and ultimates being down. It's going to be one of great discipline.
Keep an eye. Oh, Hook is going to land. Not much damage coming across there, however, Skimmy. And I was going to say, keep an eye on these junglers, because the change to Volley Bear did mean that he jungles a little bit less healthily and a tad slower. So I'd expect Trundle to be much quicker than him. And that is being echoed in the clears, just given the fact that Trundle is clearing without using a smite yet, and does seem to be on the exact same timing. However, Chaz has been, to me, one of the best mid laners in the league. Gets an immediate ward down onto this Trundle, spots him out in his clear, and will try and keep the rest of his team safe with that information.
And we touched on it, I believe, last week a little bit as to how his stats were. He was up there with the likes of Get Back in Clear and really try to hard carry his teams to success. There were games where he's kept a perfect clean sheet with not a single death, stacking up that Magi's to 25, doing some meaty damage on the likes of an Orion in particular. But just not finding a situation that is enough to bring them across that finishing line. So once again, you look to him as a stable factor in the mid lane. Make sure that nobody can pass on through and use that as an area to try and abuse and bully, and kind of really putting the pressure on your side lanes to find themselves getting ahead.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see exactly how he is going. So I'm just going to pull up some stats real quickly, Skimmy, on our man Chaz, because I know we do like to talk about him a lot. So I'm just going to compare him to his counterparts. He is shoving GDX in this mid lane right now. So when you have a look at the mid laners, obviously Claire does the most damage in the comp at 706 damage per minute, but Chaz is right up there, 583. Damage percentage-wise, he wins by an absolute mile, so he does much more than anyone else on his team, 33% nearly. And as you mentioned, very low deaths per game, 1.9 deaths. That is it. He's gone deathless, I think, more than any other mid laner, and higher CS per minute. So this is a guy he's had a really, really great season so far. Definitely one of the standouts in the league. I know people have been throwing around some Tim Carbon, Wendelli Most Improved awards already, and I think Chaz definitely needs to be one of those players in that conversation.
Certainly would have thrown his name in the ring as to somebody that can be looked at, because as you say, he's got the stats, just wants to try and find the results as well, and going into a new mid laner could be there to try and find success, to try and find some solo kills as a result, as we now look to once again go towards the bot lane, where he is continuing to get aggressive. Appy using that hook on cooldown, it seems, and continues to find trades that are very desirable.
It's quite interesting that this Ezreal feels like he needs to base immediately on his pickaxe. So he's going to go back. That means Violet actually should be able to get the BF to pickaxe shot, which just means that Aphelios will start winning this lane even harder. Skimmy. Interesting that you mentioned, we're talking about most improved versus his performances, because I feel like he can win most improved without having the best performances team-wise in the league, but that's kind of what's holding him out of Hold the Thought. I'd be in trouble.
Oh, very good flash there. Actually going to go just behind that minion, so where the death sentence connects with, but you can see both hook champions definitely trying to find some more advantages.
Certainly are, and that is going to be the dragon started up. So off that teleport coming out from Mboma, it's going to give a window for Mammoth to be able to sneak the first dragon. And we kind of mentioned that we thought that it would be Avant with a little bit more control over these laning phases. And it looked like that was the case. Chaz has had shoved this whole early game. Bottom laners had shoved until that flash was just used, and in one window, Mammoth able to wrestle that control back, Skimmy, and actually get themselves a major objective.
They certainly have. That's going to be a Mountain Dragon going their way, and as a result of that shot, that recall that Mboma took very early on, burning their teleport to come back, hasn't gone for the Shin, hasn't gone for the tier. No, he's opted in for a pickaxe. The guy just wants straight damage to try and win some of these trades.
Yeah, and I actually like pickaxe on Ezreal in the laning phase, especially if you're playing with an Ignite support. I think you have to play to kill if you are playing with the Thresh with Ignite. If you were playing Exhaust and a little bit more weak-sided, I would expect that he would go with the tier and just try and come online a little bit earlier, you know, maybe around that 19-minute mark. But as it is right now, it should still be, you know, 23, 24-minute upgraded Manamune coming across. GDX doing his best to catch minion waves under turret. He has actually gone with the laning mastery there of the Comet. So would be expecting him to potentially look for a kill. Maybe on Bass's level 6, they can try and get some form of jungle gang coming down. He's now lived in trouble.
Oh, they're both going to trade ultimates there as they use the same one. They light it up like a Venn diagram there, and they decide to walk away. No harm, no foul, but here comes Lisa, and Volibear will no doubt flash, pounce, stun, and lock you down as Avant find themselves first blood, but a turret shot means that he is forced to flash away. Down comes the red card, but there goes the Oscars. GDX finds revenge.
Yeah, he's on the board now. That is a very nice teleport play from the Mammoth lineup. Hook is on.
They want more indeed. And Bowman pickaxe, but no trouble. He's dug himself a grave there. He falls on down, and he's both support champions getting rowdy about it. There's maybe one victor, and that is a Conqueror Nautilus.
Goodness gracious me. He is still not shopped, and they still managed to pick up the 2v2 kill. That is just a very good trap laid by the bottom lane of the Avant Gaming lineup. And this is a bottom lane that I have felt like has had the more success in. I don't know actually what Violet versus Gunkrab's win percentage is, but I have just felt like Violet looks to be the more aggressive AD carry. And I feel like that's what Avant Gaming need. They need themselves an aggressive laner. Chaz and Paparize actually bumping into each other, and that's going to be a tell, the fact that they're flipping the map, if I've ever seen one, as the Orianna just pushes the cannon out of the lane, and he's now bot.
The reveal, the vision, the outplay, and with Chaz now having the blue buff, we'll have a very easy time clearing things out, as they are going to say, you can get the first dragon, but as a result of that kill topside, we're going to make our move towards this hero. But that's not going to be about some form of contest. Mammoth are in the area and are looking for trouble themselves. Now the ability to steal an ultimate is coming up soon here for Lived. Looking for it, two-man shockwave into the trench line, locking them down. Flame Spitter comes out. 1-for-1, they do find it. As Fresh goes down for the Orianna, but it's going to be a commanding victory here for the side of Mammoth. Lived with the overkill, slam dunks the floor, and says, that Herald, it's ours.
What a strange fight. So Mammoth leave Mboma bottom lane 1v1 versus a Kenny who didn't have flash or ultimate, so he should be able to just farm up nicely. And now we're going to have a recontest just from the bottom lane of Avant Gaming, whilst the solo lanes are still here. I feel like this is very dangerous, Skimmy.
Certainly is. But it's not going to hurt them in the grand scheme of things. Quite happy with that one. Mountain Dragon, a Herald. And despite being down by gold, this will do a lot of work to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and now GDX has actually probably got himself a gold lead. You know, he's 20 CS down, but he's got himself 2 kills. You can see that he's going up against an Orianna that has 1 kill. However, now Papara is going to be playing the 2v1 side of the map, whilst Lived in the top lane is doing the same. I would say that probably fancies the ranged cannon just a little bit more, especially given the fact that Liv doesn't have an ultimate. And Aphelios just takes these turrets so quickly.
Yeah, especially with those items, right? The chakrams, it's the dream situation, just to stand next to a turret and collect as much gold as you can.
A little bit more raw AD as well. He's going with CF as well as pickaxe. So when you compare that to the mana of the tier, definitely going to be a better situation. Maybe we'll see a swap come back because Avant Gaming probably don't want to control top side of Summoner's Rift right now. They would like to control the bottom side where there is going to be that Ocean Dragon spawning. Probably don't want to give both of them away. GDX, however, has got himself those early penetration boots. You can see that Lived is potentially going to make the trip down as well. So I expect to be a 5v5 here. If Mammoth win this fight, they're right back in the game. If Avant win it, probably is a lot of the sins of the early game going to be forgiven.
Certainly would be. As you can see, Fresh was looking for the play, but the team just a little bit further away, and Atlanta won't allow them to join into that fight. But touching on the point there for GDX with the mask, with the boots, he'll be doing a fair bit of damage now as long as he stays in that fight. So we will expect that big 5v5, but as it stands, Avant still coming into this one, up by about 1,500 gold. That Herald could look to try and be deceiving as it could bridge that gap. They're going to be the ones, however, being quite aggressive right now. Baskin look to try and lock them in place. That's going to be a pillar that locks in place free right now. The hook goes out. Equalizer locking them down, trying to split this fight in half. Do they connect? Do they follow things up? That's the Equalizer gone now for free. Chaz still has the Shockwave, and they've got River control.
You have to question why they didn't go there. Now it's going to be Appy that goes.
Yeah, he's just going to flash forward, land that ultimate, and try and turn their attention. Shockwave goes only onto one. There's the slam dunk down. Bass gets out. Oh no, he falls on down. The orb, the shield, the protection, and the dream weapon set up for an Aphelios as his Conqueror gets fully stacked on up. But there's so much hesitation in this team fight as ultimates are burned, but the full initiation is not collapsed upon.
These teams just look nervous, Skimmy.
Yeah.
See that they're missing pretty point-blank skill shots, although that hook will land.
That will indeed. The Dragon is being started here by Lisa, but there the skill shots, it connects. Arctic falls on down, sniffing for a death sentence to land, but the death sentence is just his name written on a tombstone.
And not a pretty game of League of Legends by any stretch of the imagination right now, Skimmy. However, you do have to say that at least Avant seem a little bit more fearless in those initiations. When GDX drops that Equalizer, Liv isn't flashing in, isn't looking for the knock-up onto the AD carry, who is just caught in no man's land. And Boma is always arriving second to these plays, prioritizing farm, even though he hasn't generated himself any form of CS advantage. Whereas Avant Gaming, Appy, looking very good on that engage. The rest of the team were a little bit slow to react, I felt. However, he at least was in there, flashing, burning that ultimate, and ensure that the fight was at least spicy. They get themselves the 2 kills. They will grab themselves the Dragon as well, and are now firmly in control of this game.
Strong leads, as you can see there, between the AD carry and the top lane Kennen. And you were concerned about there not being an exhaust to try and keep this threat at bay. Well, what are they going to do if they try and gank him instead? There's a Slicing Maelstrom ×2. They lock him in place. Can he flash away? He does indeed, but he's so locked on down. That's a shutdown, subjugate, flash, pillar, and more. There is no escaping death when it comes at your front door. And that is how you deal with it without an exhaust.
Yeah, the issue is that that was a Trundle grabbing himself to kill there, Skimmy. Definitely not what you want to see if you are Mammoth. You would have loved Liv to be able to pick that one up. He's already 20 CS down. Needs himself some additional gold to be able to get back into this game. However, Bass was the person that was the main beneficiary from that. We'll be able to pass on some turret gold, however, to Liv in the form of these plates. Don't think they're going to be able to get more than 3, 4. Oh, it's become such a grind. You give up so much tempo by going for this turret right now that really you've just like sacrificed the whole bottom side of your jungle. As you can see, Lisa's in there already taking those out. They're not going to be able to get this next wave in, so Kennen, if he wants to, can actually just freeze this wave. I don't know why he's hitting the minions right now, Skimmy. He should be trying to cost them even more CS, but instead he's just going to push that wave instantly. You can see it's only a trade of turrets as well. First turret will go over to Mammoth, but Chaz will get the concentrated gold.
Shockwave goes out. Chaz looking for the solo kill right now. Lisa's in the area. He's got the flash. Stormbringer disables that turret, flashes on his head, and stuns him to good effect. The trade of turrets will be complete.
GDX getting welcome to the OPL there by the jungler of Avant Gaming, showing him why he shouldn't go for that. Chaz will flash.
Okay, well, Liv just wants to go for the 1v2 right now, looking to try and take out the Orianna. That flirts from afar. He's unable to connect. And that just fuels the funds that Chaz is so keen for. And it gives him a 3rd kill and a bounty up to 350.
Yeah, and because you make that mistake, now you have to pay the consequences. This is an Orianna that just got back-to-back kills, as well as a turret, pretty much solo, and now has 5 stacks on that Dark Seal. Chaz is a real problem now for the entirety of the team, and the Mammoth Soul Laners are squarely to blame for it.
Yep, that turret, especially when you're looking to try and slave down as long as it is, it's what? So much armor. You're looking at 300-400 armor. It's insane. And that's why
Did you just see the purchase? He just picked up upgraded boots to 800 gold, needlessly large rod, 1250, plus a stopwatch.
He's rich. We mentioned it is going to fuel the funds. I mean, the guy's balling. Gold. He's living life large.
Look at the difference between this Orianna and this Rumble now.
Yeah, it's absurd. can see that GDX is a world away from completing the likes of either a Morello's or a Oblivion Orb to accentuate his damage even further. Chad's very happy with this one so far.
Yeah, I wonder if we see that, whether he does go, Leandry's Torment into Morello's, or whether he actually just goes, maximum damage Leandry's into either a Void Staff or a Death Cap. I feel like when you're this far behind, you kind of have to start throwing Hail Marys in the build. I talk about it a lot, but I feel like you can't go bridging items when 15 minutes into the game, you're 3,000 gold down, and your direct opponent is a level ahead of you, 40 CS up, and with a Shockwave will wipe a team. So pressure on GDX right here to make some smart decisions around the Rumble build path.
Pressure on, but he'll meet that challenge by going bot side to equalize the turret that was only taken minutes prior. And this is at not too bad timing, given that the next Dragon will be up in 20 seconds, and they need to get themselves a reset to purchase those items to have the optimal power. Paprise, just a little bit short there with the Shuriken, tried to delay. That's actually going to hang out in the area, and now look to try and lay down some vision to make sure they had the best chance this time of contesting in a non-scrappy fashion.
Okay, so stopwatch check coming across before the next fight, Skimmy. It is going to be mid as well as support versus top and support of Mammoth with those. That means that any engage should not be onto those members of the respective team. The Rift Herald used for just a little bit of mid lane priority, however, maybe a little bit early. Dragon only just spawning, and now Mammoth do have a chance to test through this mid lane.
Hook goes miss as they look to try and find it. Equalizer is there. Leandry's, it's hit nothing. It's hit nothing. It's a terrible situation. Lifted as a focus. He pops a stopwatch. So does Appy. Both looking to try and buy themselves a little bit more time. An edge, a chance to survive. But here comes Paprise. He doesn't even need to burn the Slicing Maelstrom. That's how strong they are in this situation. They take a commanding fight, 2-0.
They're going to get themselves the Dragon. They're going to get themselves the last remaining mid lane outer turret as well. At only 17 minutes into this game, Paprise still has the ult. Doesn't go for it.
Look how low Chaz was. He had the Seraph's Embrace evolution for the shield. He had the stopwatch, didn't even pop it. He was that confident in his ability to win out that fight. And the pressure shown his way for that shutdown. Now you're looking at an Aphelios, which is starting to ramp up and hit that same tempo stride as well.
And you have to say, just, a quietly good game from Violet. He had a great laning phase with Appy. They were able to pick up that kill in a 2v2 scenario. Now he finds himself, very good CS. 175 at 18 minutes into the game. Definitely no slouch. And 2-0 on 3. He's just playing a quietly really great game of League of Legends. And this is something that we've seen out of Avant all year long. Prioritizing that crit. There's Appy fake check here.
Well, Artek's going to be the one that says, I want this fight. Missed the flay. Appy looks to try and disengage away. Doesn't have a flash, however, but still very tanky because he's got that stone plate active. Artek goes golden. As goes Paprise, flashing over the wall with a Slicing Maelstrom. Locks them in place. Avant finds two. They got a third in their sight. They forced a response with a disengage there from the Rumble as well. And every time Artek goes initiating, Appy welcomes it and turns it around.
And the thing is, Skimmy, is this is why you must play Exhaust versus Cannon. Look at his items. He's got Gunblade as well as Oblivion Orb Sword Boots. He's doing true damage. In goes the bear.
The punishment on the flash use. Yeah, gone. Deleted. Turret deleted. Turret disabled. Turret taken down. 19 minutes in, and Avant are putting daylight between these two teams as they are up now by 6,000 gold.
Mate, they're putting more than daylight. They are so far ahead at only 20 minutes into the game. I feel like we're cursed today, Skimmy. Said we got double bangers coming into the broadcast. Both of us were very happy with the games that we pulled.
Yeah.
We'd maybe outdone Rusty again. But this has been back-to-back maulings by the Chiefs and Avant Gaming.
Both teams saying, you can't catch up to us. We won't let that happen. And really trying to keep Mammoth at bay and say that final spot does not belong to you.
And this is potentially both, not underdogs, because technically the Chiefs should be considered, despite the latter, red-hot favourites in my opinion, and the 2-0 scoreline. Maybe pundits will disagree. But Mammoth, potentially in better form than Avant Gaming coming into this one. They should have been close contests on paper, one game between both of the matchups tonight, but just a little bit of late game surge coming out of Avant Gaming, it looks like right now, and you have to say great late game surge coming out of the Chiefs. against Tencent.gg lineup.
I think that's what we're always excited for, right? Is like seeing the dips, the ebbs and flow, if you will, the rise and form of teams as the season progresses, and at what time they hit that peak, and getting closer and closer to playoffs. Pretty good time to find yourself in a situation where you know what you're about, what your identity is, and what your style of play is going to be going into those best of 3, best of 5 series.
It always just reminds me of that saying, Stevie. Form is temporary, class is forever, and you can see that that definitely is ringing true. Also, the fact that we've got ourselves a 2-item Orianna at this stage of the game is very scary. Death Cat picked up.
Yeah. He has so much protection, not only from his team, but from his item build as well. The shield it will provide with the Death Cap is going to be pretty disastrous right now, as that is a box placed on down by Arctic. It might be a cask in a minute because he's going to fall on down into a shallow grave as they're trying to turn things around. The Equalizer splits the fight in half as that's the Shockwave looking to disengage a subjugating Bass. As both the Bruisers force themselves a disengage out of the pit, and I think Avant are lucky not to have fallen further there.
Yeah, they certainly are. However, Paparazzi did have a flank, and I thought he could have potentially looked for the play. Obviously, he has himself that upgrade of Morello's. Is there any healing? Really? Yeah, there is. Okay, on the Trundle as well as the Silas. Won't say it's completely a useless item at this stage of the game, but I think he could have itemized a little bit more aggressively. When you have a look at how that fight played out, it was just the fact that this Ezreal at this stage of the game has hit all of his spikes. He's about to go back, get himself what will be a Trinity Force, has the upgraded Manamune already, cooldown reduction boots there with the red buff, had maximum uptime during his lethal tempo as well, Skimmy, just because all of the damage really did go onto the Thresh. So target prioritization, it was iffy from Avant Gaming. They do just trade 1-for-1. Any trade that is equal in this game, I think Mammoth at this stage will have to take. But I don't think that that is the way these fights will go, given how big Chaz and Violet are.
This next fight they're going to have to take is they've just hit big power spikes on their 2 carries, the Trinity Force as well as the Oblivion Orb. Now that's true damage Arundel can do. If he can find himself in a fight, in a situation where the Equalizer can get maximum value. Once again, it's the supports initiating, forcing the flash away. Arctic with Australia's boosting on out of that situation, does not want to take any fights. That does not favour them at this stage. And as Pepperise fighting the flank. A flash, a shockwave, a fight that favours Lisa as he finds his kill target. Nate dismissed the jungler. No smite contest here. And what was a dragon just spawning now becomes a Baron for the taking.
And the thing about Ezreal is that you have to have maximum uptime on your DPS to make it worthwhile. That your front line cannot leave you behind. That's exactly what happened. He was just caught in no man's land, split away from the rest of the team. You can see the flanking cannon made short work of him. Got the flash as well, didn't even have to burn his in response. That's going to be Baron picked up. You can see Mammoth trying to get a response on a dragon on bottom side of Summoner's Rift. Do Avant actually cross? No, they do not. So Mammoth should be able to grab this objective, stall out the soul. 23-minute Baron picked up for the Avant Gaming lineup and nearly a 10,000 gold lead.
It's getting very close to that, and you know what Baron buffs tend to achieve in these games. You get all the lane control, you can split yourself off into a 1-3-1, very healthy. You've got double teleports now online between both the Kennen and the Orianna to commit to safety if Mammoth were to force a fight. And the pinch begins.
And Chaz is just farming up a storm. 247 CS. You can see Violet and Nimboma just behind him, only 24 minutes into this game. Complete topside control coming across for the Avant Gaming lineup. You can see Artek grabs Appy again, does not want to engage this time, Skimmy. He says, I've done this one too many times and it has not worked, any of them. You can walk away. You throw that fish back.
I think we're going to see a potential difference here of not being as reliant now on the supports to find those fights and saying, not looking too good when we jump in there.
I think you can just dive. I think Lisa turns off the turret and Paparazzi comes from the corner and you just ace them right now.
How do they hold this base? The first inhibitor's been threatened. The max range hook has connected. Bass is the target. Shurelius goes on out, Lantern to try and get him out of harm's way. He pops the subjugate and will survive. Can top himself up in that fountain, but it is at the cost of the top inhibitor falling on down. That's an easy rotation through to mid for a second to fall.
Once again, Slow and Steady just wins this race. Skimmy, take 2 inhibitors, retreat back to the jungle, take all of the gold away. You can get a shop in if you want. 3 items should be there for Orianna as well as Isabelios at this stage of the game. If they chase too far, you turn around, you bop them, you end the game. So right now, Mammoth needs to be very careful, but there is only one wave of control left in this game for Mammoth to be able to play around. You can see they've already sent Liv there to try and push the wave out as far as possible. But already 10,400 gold down at 25 minutes. The hill's just too steep to climb.
It's definitely feeling that way. I mean, there have been some significant highlights in this match. How Kennen got ahead so early on. How Violet won a fight when he was only on a Doran's Blade into a cheating tempo teleport in Boma. Credit where credit is due to Appy finding these fights that worked in his favour. Liv's going to go for the initiation right now as he's collapsed upon 1v4. Chaz burns that stopwatch, buys time, and takes out a key component now. 0-4. The Baron buff finds the value, and it's targeting of the bot lane.
And I just don't understand what he's doing there. The only thing I can think of is he and the team think it is worthwhile for him to die there to get an additional wave out. Because you can see where the wave is starting from, Skimmy. It's starting from now River, just about to cross. So that is the only thing I can think of, is that they feel like the gold is more important for Liv to be able to pick up at this stage of the game, that the death timer actually will have him back alive. Otherwise, at the moment, he's just running it down bottom lane, which is definitely not a nice sight. It's not pretty League of Legends coming out of the Mammoth top laner.
Avant have yet to lose to Mammoth this year. But Mammoth, as a result of some upsets in the Chiefs as well as Legacy, they look to be the team that could potentially dismiss that trouble as they're going to go for the fight right now. They will not sacrifice this final inhibitor for 3. They want to take it on down. Equalizer for Shockwave. There goes Lisa. The bear is big, and he jumps into your backline. He's not a tank, but he's basically one with that ultimate is live. That's the double kill. Chaz padding the stats. The man to keep your eyes on, the MVP, that this time will find himself a victory. As they're going to end this game at 27 minutes in. An absolute shellacking, to take the words out of your mouth there, Spawn. They're going to farm the KDA just a little bit further to add insult to injury. They want to make sure that their opponents are not having any form of fun. And there you have it. The welcoming of GDX was not a pretty one, but Avant deliver the goods.
Yeah, a one-sided game of League of Legends there, Skimmy. You can see that there were areas in the early game, you know, that initial Dragon, the initial Herald, but you just felt like after the first real time we saw 5 members come into 5 members that Avant Gaming were going to have complete control. That's exactly what we saw. And, unfortunately for Mammoth, they will not be able to pick up a victory there. They remain in 7th place, and playoffs, I think it's just starting to slip further and further out of their grips.
It certainly is. It's feeling like a scary thought for them now. This was the first step that was needed in what is now a very limited schedule of games left to try and put yourself in contention for that one. But after the break, we've got an exciting situation because we've got a red-hot form order, 7 wins on the go, and they'll be taking on Gravitas. We'll see you soon.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact free, we'll be here.